Hi, welcome to the summary presentation of Success Session 4 for 11th graders, the new cohort in 2018. The session was held Friday, January 18th. During the session, we presented some news and updates as always. We looked at the first college grades for the cohort from fall semester. We did a little reflecting on the first semester and how the courses went, and then the second half of the session focused on the upcoming SAT and M-STEP exams. We talk a fair amount about that, and those are extremely important, and that's the message we're trying to get across with the information in the second half of this presentation. So now, though, to the news and updates. First of all, the drop and add deadline has passed. That's only the first week of classes when students can make changes to their schedules if they really sense there's a need. It ended the first Friday of the semester, so no more changes can be made right now. Your schedule is locked in, and it's key then to work hard, get help, make sure you complete your classes. You may have to adapt and try new things this semester that maybe you didn't have to try before. You may have to adapt to a different instructor's teaching style, and we can help with that. So ask for help, go to the Achievement Center, and so on. We'll talk more about that during the presentation. Enrollment for 2019 next fall has actually begun. We're in the enrollment season where we get out to the high schools and present on the Blue Water Middle College. The folks who are interested, the students who are interested, have to submit an application by March 31st. So we need you to spread the word to your friends, family, classmates. They'd be 10th graders right now. You remember, you have to enter the middle college by the very beginning of 11th grade. After that, it's too late. But if you can help us by getting the word out and give your friends and family members the same opportunity you have, that would be great. We want you to be a good, positive representative of the middle college, and there's an opportunity to do that for us on Saturday, February 9th, late morning from 10 to noon. We're having our annual open house, and that's a chance for students and families to stop by the middle college office, stop by SC4, and just talk to us. It's informal. We always have current middle college students there to answer questions and talk, one-on-one with the students and families. And we'd love it if you could help. So let us know if you're interested in helping out at the open house on Saturday, February 9th. That's about 2 weeks away from when I'm recording this. So send me an email if you're willing to help. We'll give you more information. Well, this past week, several of the school districts have been closed for several days due to cold weather and then ice and so on. And so we are in that season now, so we wanted to remind you what to do about snow days, and if you can't make it to class because you're sick, and then the upcoming vacations and so on. If the college is open, if SC4 is open, you are expected to attend. And usually they're very good about communicating whether the main campus is open. Sometimes the satellite campuses that are held at high schools are closed, but they'll be very clear about whether or not the main campus is remaining open. And so far it has remained open all these days this winter. Now you have to make the decision, is it safe or not for you to get to campus? If you don't make it, and a majority of your classmates do, you have to accept the consequences. Instructors are really pretty good about understanding, but on the other hand, if it's a 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon class and the sun is now shining and the roads have melted, there's a good chance that you should have come to class. But it's up to you to make the call and or your parents, but there are no special exemptions. If the main campus is open, you're expected to be there. If you get sick and you stay home for any reason, first of all, don't do it lightly. You only have about 30-some class sessions the whole semester, so any one that you miss is more important than just even one day at high school when you have 5 classes per week. So if you do miss, though, and you're not feeling well, contact your instructor as soon as possible. If you feel up to it that afternoon or evening, but definitely before the next class, and do what you can to keep up on the work. Use your syllabus, read ahead, tell the instructor that you're going to do that. And just ask, is there anything I can do to stay up to speed, so when you get back to class, you'll be pretty much on par with the rest of the students, okay? Because unlike high school, the coursework goes on. It does when you're sick there, but in terms of snow days and so on, okay? Now, when it comes to vacations, keep in mind St. Clair County Community College does not have a midwinter break, so you might have a long weekend coming up, but just know that even if your school is closed Thursday or a Monday, your SC4 classes are going on and you're expected to attend. Also, the spring break is not the same week as your high school. SC4's spring break, like a lot of colleges, is midwinter actually, or very late winter, I guess, March 4th through the 8th this year. You do have high school classes that week. No, so you do not have to attend college classes March 4th through 8th, so that's kind of a nice break or a chance to catch up in your college classes. Something you want to be careful about, the high school spring breaks, the breaks for all the public schools in St. Clair County, is the week of March 25th through 29th. You may be out of high school, but you're expected to attend your college courses. Now, if you and your family have a trip planned during the high school or the public school break, I'm not saying that you cannot go, but you're not excused at all from your college classes. So if you want to know how to proceed, contact one of us right away, and we'll give you some ideas and strategies for trying to have those absences have the least effect on your grade. So we'll help you figure out what you will miss and then how to talk to your instructor about it. And some of you maybe already have talked to your instructors about it. That's good. No special excuses. If you miss a test and they're saying you have to be there for the test and there's no exceptions, then you have to accept that and just work hard and try to keep your grade up in other ways. Okay? So looking ahead, you guys now are into your second semester, 2 classes down, 2 more underway. Next year, you're going to be taking 6 classes altogether, and it's never too early to meet with an SC4 academic advisor. They're very nice. They're all located in the Welcome Center on the 2nd floor, and we expect all of you to do that at least once a year. A great time to do that is before fall registration for next fall, and that actually, fall registration opens in mid-April. So I recommend that you find time, schedule a meeting with an SC4 academic advisor at some point in March or early April. And that way you know what you need for your degree to move forward, and you're ready to get those classes as soon as the fall registration opens. So what do you do with the academic advisors? Well, you can discuss your program of study. You can talk about what colleges you're interested in attending. If you know, they can help you maybe focus and narrow your career some. You can learn about credit transfers, the Michigan Transfer Agreement, how to use the Service Center. There's a lot of things they can help you with. Just contact them. You can make an appointment by going right to the advising office. There's a secretary on the 2nd floor of the Welcome Center. At the top of the stairs, you turn right, and you'll see that the advising center and the secretary is there, and she can make an appointment for you. You can also call 989-5520 and just, again, you'll get the secretary, Mrs. Easton, and she'll make an appointment with one of the advisors for you. You can even do it online, all from within your portal. You just have to look for the link to schedule an advising appointment. But do that. Get that done. Every year you should do it, and actually every semester is not too frequently to meet with an SC4. It's not too frequent to meet with an SC4 advisor. Something that can help you now as you get a little bit deeper into your program and you're in the college world now working on, completing classes that'll help you in your career now. Don't forget about Career Cruising, that software program. It really is a great resource. I know many of you at partner high schools have to do every year some new requirements, add a couple of careers or whatever it is. But you really should go beyond that and just spend some time exploring the site. You don't get a lot of time for that exploration when you're completing Career Cruising requirements in high school. But you can dig deep into certain careers, find out what education is required for them, what colleges offer that kind of education, and so on. So we can help you with that if you're wondering how to use that tool, but it really is an awesome tool for seeing everything in one place. And some of you know or think you know exactly what you want to do, but many are not certain. And even if you think you know what you want to do, usually you need to learn more about it to make sure that's it, and to make sure that you're on track or that you understand what it takes to get that job. So we just are recommending now is a good time to dig into Career Cruising, even if you've already worked on it a little bit this year. Okay? Let's look at how you guys did now. And on the whole, the new cohort, the 2018 cohort, our new students did fantastic. First of all, we'll look at all middle college students, 11th, 12th, and 13th graders. They took a total of 1,751 courses in the fall semester, and 653 of those, or 37%, were A or A minus grades. So that's fantastic. You can see the numbers here, that another 523 grades of B plus, B, or B minus, and most of those were B or B pluses, and 1,435 grades of C or higher. So 82% of the classes students scored a C or higher, and that means those courses would transfer on. Even a D minus gives you credits for the course at SC4, so it may not transfer on a course where you got a D in it, but it's still, you completed the class, you've earned the credit, so that's good. Now, focusing just on the first year students, which is you guys took 471 total courses. 190 of those grades were A or A minus. That's even higher than the overall. It's 40%. Another 30%, 31% got B, B minus, or B plus. And then there were 403 grades out of 471 that were C or higher. So 86%, not too far from 90% of the grades were C or higher. You guys can definitely do this college work, and I'm proud of you. So that's good. There are some honors that might come along with that. SC4 just released their president's list for fall semester. I sent a link out. Did I do that? I've got to do that maybe on the Twitter and Facebook account. But go to SC4's site, and probably in your portal there's a link to the president's list. They have a new president's list every semester. You do need to have taken 6 or more credit hours in the semester and earned a 3.0 or higher grade point for that semester to be on the list. Some of you have got A's and B's, so your GPA is in the right range, but you might have only taken 5 credit hours in the first semester. So if you didn't make it this semester, you can definitely do it in the winter, and President's List is a great thing to add to your resume, especially if you do it multiple times. Another thing coming up next year, probably after the winter semester, is being invited to Phi Theta Kappa. That's an honor society, if you will, an honor fraternity at SC4. You're eligible once you complete 12 or more total credits, and your cumulative grade point average is 3.0 or higher. You'll be invited to join through a letter, and there is a cost involved, but it actually is very beneficial to be a member of PTK, Phi Theta Kappa. It can lead to scholarships in the future, and it's a great thing to put on a resume that you can always have on your resume. So if not at the end of this year, sometime next year, many of you will qualify for that. Now, it's not all good news, unfortunately. Of all the middle college students, just under 5% failed the class. Were given an E grade. Another 5%, a little bit over that, withdrew. As we got to the very end of the semester, students had tried but realized they weren't going to pass the class. We worked with them, and they withdrew from the class. Sometimes there were other issues, medical and so on, that came up. But that's still about 10% of the students who did not earn credits and did not earn passing grades. The percent is a little smaller for first-year students. That's you guys, but still, we believe that really nobody has to fail a class or should withdraw, except if there's a sickness or accident or something like that that prevents a student from attending class. But everybody can pass a class. It's just a matter of showing up every day and getting help if you need it. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But well, anyway, I'll get to that in a second. There is something you really need to be aware of, and it's about SC4's Satisfactory Academic Progress policy. This is a policy that's common across the country at colleges. If your college grade point average, the cumulative GPA, falls below a 2.0 at the end of any semester, you're placed on what's called academic warning. Some of you have already been contacted by Mrs. Barr or Ms. Weimer about being on academic warning, and they're requesting you to come in to meet. And that's very important that you do that and get that GPA above a 2.0. If your college grade point stays below a 2.0 for 2 semesters in a row, you are then on suspension. You're suspended from taking college classes the next semester. So the college just says you have to sit out a semester, and we cannot, in the middle college, cannot change that. So if you are on warning, raise your grade point above 2.0 to get off warning this semester. This is very important. Attend all support meetings with your advisor. Be honest with them. If they ask, "Are you attending class?" You better, don't tell them you are when you aren't, because you're just going to find that your GPA is not going to get above 2.0. They're not going to yell at you, but they're going to tell you, you need to go to class, and they can help you with, how you're taking notes or if you're having difficulty in the class. So don't miss a class. Use the tutoring and support centers. There are some consequences. If you don't get off academic warning this semester, if you start on it and you don't get off it this semester, then you have to wait until late December next year to schedule next winter's courses. Now, if you remember, winter semester registration opens very early in November or late October. And within the first couple of weeks, a lot of the good classes and the good times fill. So you have to wait until late December to schedule your winter classes. You're not going to have a good selection. If your grade point stays below 2.0 after the fall semester, and it was below 2 point at the end of winter, you cannot take college courses in winter 2020. You're suspended. And you will have to remain in the middle college, you'll have to take 3 Michigan Virtual University online high school courses in addition to your high school courses at the partner high school. So it's not the greatest option. It's the best we have to even be able to try to keep you in the middle college. If you don't do that, then you have to return to your high school and you'll be out of the middle college. When we have students do online learning, we require them to spend time working on the courses in the middle college office several hours each week. So you'll have to do that, or you cannot, again, stay in the Blue Water Middle College. So keep working, get that grade point up, and you should be all set. You won't have to worry about those things. Okay, what we did at the face-to-face session on Friday, on the 18th, we had students go to a Google form and actually answer some questions about which classes they liked, what classes they didn't like, why that was, and then what academic support resources were used. And then we were able to actually look at their results live right after they had done that. I'm not going to do that now in the video, although you will be required to go to the Google Doc and record your answer the questions and fill out that form. That's going to be one of the things we're going to ask you to do. But just really quickly, some lessons. It really wasn't the course in particular that was the favorite or the most favorite or least favorite, because some of the questions asked why did you like it, and a lot of it had to do with the instructor, the challenge of the course, the amount the class participated in discussions and things like that. And that could happen in a political science class, or it could happen in a computer class or whatever. So the key takeaways were the instructor makes a big difference. The lectures and discussions, the activities makes a big difference in the students' enjoyment in the class. But another takeaway is, if you don't have an instructor that you click with, or that maybe is not as exciting as others that you have to learn to adapt and get through the class and succeed in the class. You don't run away from something that's just not fun or enjoyable for you. You are in that class. You can't withdraw. You've paid for that class. In this case, the middle college has. But in the real world beyond the middle college, you'll be paying for that class before you start. So you want to learn to adapt, and we can help with that. If you're in a class and things aren't going well, let us know. Okay. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and you can too. We'll come back and we'll talk about the SAT. Okay, the second section of this summary presentation is on preparing for the SAT, and basically we're saying it's time well spent. Whatever time you spend practicing, learning about the SAT beyond what you've already done, many of you have taken the PSAT, it's worth it, and I'm going to try to explain why that is. This is your year for the Michigan Merit Exam. That's what MME stands for. It's 11th grade, and this is the year that the state of Michigan says that all 11th graders across the state, basically the same time, same days for the most part, take 3 different exams to kind of see how their education has been from elementary school all the way up through 11th grade in high school. The MME consists of 3 major assessments, and each of those are divided up into smaller exams or sections. So the one that we're going to spend the most time on, because it impacts your future that much more than the others, is the SAT, the college entrance exam. and we'll talk about all the ways that it's helpful to you. That will be on April 9th. That's a Tuesday. The next day, April 10th, will be the ACT Work Keys test. That's a job skills assessment in reading, math, and one on locating information or graphic literacy. More on that at some of the individual sessions. And then a third day, and it's not set for everybody across the state, but it must take place between April 9th and May 4th, is the Michigan Student Test of Educational Progress, or MSTEP. And those are science and social studies assessments. They test things that the ACT and the SAT do not. And so the state has students take that. It's relatively short, but that was one more day of testing. So there's a lot of it coming up. So where does this take place? I already talked about the when it takes place. The students who are attending our partner high schools will take all the MME tests at their partner high school. So I have a picture here of Algonac. So Algonac students will take the SAT and Work Keys and MSTEP at Algonac High School. And details on, preparing for the test in terms of filling out the answer booklet and what to bring and what not to bring, that'll be shared by the folks at Algonac High School. Some of our students do not attend one of our partner high schools. They do need to take the MME, and that will be done at St. Clair County Community College. We'll have rooms available, and Mr. Ruiz will be in touch with you via email. So keep checking your email in the weeks to come. Mr. Ruiz will send you information to get the ball rolling on that. So everyone's going to be contacted and know where and when to take the test. If you're wondering early, feel free to ask us, but it should be coming in the weeks ahead. So now we're shifting. That was a little bit about the exams, very general on all three. But the key now I want to focus on is a couple of questions. Why should I care about these tests, and why prepare? And in particular, we're going to focus on the SAT. In short, a higher score on the SAT gives you more college choice. When you apply to schools, colleges after the middle college, if you're going on to a four-year school, they look primarily at your high school grade point average and your SAT score. So the higher your SAT score, the more schools you're likely to get into, and you have more choice if you want to get into schools that require a higher SAT. The other thing we'll talk about, and I'll show you specific examples, is how your SAT score can equate to thousands of dollars in scholarships. Folks always want to talk about scholarships when it comes time to wrap up their middle college experience, but the best way to do it is get a good score on your SAT, and it doesn't have to be through the roof, as I'll show you. A little improvement can make a big difference in terms of money, saving you money on future school. The SAT scores can also be used for college course placement at SC4 and other colleges as well. So those of you who don't yet place into English 101 can use the writing score of your SAT to place you into English 101. You may not have to take the AccuPlacer again. Some of you, if you have not placed into Math 104 or 110 yet, also can use the Math SAT score to place you into one of those courses. You would not have to take a developmental math class. And even if you've placed into Math 110, you might do even better on your SAT math score and place into Math 113 or 120. So that moves you along. You don't have to take as much math at SC4. And a final reason to care about doing well and practice on the SAT is that it can be practiced, the entire process can be practiced for when you have to take similar, what I'll call high stakes tests in the future. And so many professions have these very important tests that might sum up several years of college, or they might be tests that you need to do well on to get into a program. The HESI test at SC4, that's 50% of your application score for the nursing program here. So learning and practicing, preparing for the SAT, you can turn that experience into good practice for the HESI in a year or two. Some schools, to get into the graduate school, those entrance exams require similar high-stakes tests. The MCAT for medical school, something called the LSAT for law school, and even those of you going into a profession that doesn't require more schooling, such as being maybe a police officer, firefighter, EMT, real estate, whatever, there's licensing exams for those as well. So again, it's just good practice gearing up for a big test. All right, Let's look at the college choice part of it here, and I've got a couple of schools, some data on them. For MSU, and we have a fair amount of students every year that apply and end up attending Michigan State, from their freshman profile this school year, MSU posted on their website that the middle 50% of their freshmen that enrolled, their high school GPA was in the 3.5 to 3.9 range. Okay, so that's the middle 50%. Some students actually had 4.0, others were a little less than that, but that's a GPA. So it has to be pretty strong. The SAT range was 1130 to 1300. Now that's out of a total of 1600 points. The third bullet I have there says most Blue Water Middle College Academy students score in the 1000 to 1100 range. So even with all their college course experience, which helps them, their score is on the low end of that, of what's needed to get into Michigan State. So that's important, I think, for you to consider. I know they can do a lot better. I just don't think the students, like many students, put in the time practicing and preparing, and a lot of them want to come back and retake it because they wish they did better. For Central Michigan, they post an average high school GPA. That's about a 3.3, and the average SAT score of their incoming freshmen was 1140. So again, the same statistic below is that most of our students score in the 1000 to 1100 range, and so that's actually below the average needed to get into Central. Okay, so if you want to be accepted earlier into the colleges of your choice, work hard now to get your SAT above 1100, and then you can rest a little easier and you don't have to worry maybe about retaking it. Okay? When you apply to universities, you do apply as a freshman, which means your admission depends in large part on your SAT score. So don't assume it's going to be good enough to get in. Make it good the first time. You can always retake it for an even higher score and more scholarship dollars, but make it good the first time. Speaking of scholarship dollars, this is a chart, and it's kind of a lot at first to look at, but I'm going to show you basically that getting a higher SAT score can equal more scholarship dollars. And this is right off of Oakland University's website. This is their new scholarship award grid, if you will, for the fall of 2019. Now what I want you to see is right in this area over here to the left, and especially down in the corner. A high school GPA, if yours is a 3.0 to just under a 3.4, that's this bar right here. So those students, as long as their SAT is in the 1030 to 1120 range, which is not all that high, you're going to automatically get $1,500 a year as a scholarship. It's called the University Recognition Award. Okay, so that's not bad. You don't have to write a letter or anything. They automatically give that to you. Now, if your GPA is a little bit higher, let's say it's a 3.4 or a 3.5 in this range up here, you get a 1050 and to 1120, and you do get that same $1,500, all in this dark orange color. Okay, but if your SAT goes up by just a few points, depending on where you were, up into the 1130 range, now you're in the yellow zone, which actually is $3,000 a year. So you've doubled the amount, $1,500 more dollars. Pretty amazing, and it's worth the time, spending time now to get that score into the, just above 1100 to 1130. And this is typical of many schools. And one last example before we leave this one is a student with a 3.7 or 3.8, a good solid high school GPA. Let's say they went from 1120, which would keep them in this $1,500 range, and they went up to 1,200, all right, which is 80 points. It's definitely doable. That means an increase of $2,500 a year in terms of scholarships, because now they're getting $4,000 a year. So my point is, the higher the GPA, the higher your scholarship is likely to be, and it's quite doable to increase that with practice. Most scholarship money for most students comes from what's called merit-based awards based on your grade point and your SAT score. So what is an extra $3,000, $5,000, or even $10,000 or more worth to you? I would argue that it's worth 10 to 20 hours this winter in SAT practice, because if you do that much, you may find that your score is quite a bit higher than it would be without. Okay, so good SAT scores equals thousands of dollars, and it really is your best chance of earning a significant scholarship in the future. Okay. We talked about math placement. Many students placed into developmental English and or math based on their original AccuPlacer scores. Well, your SAT scores, as I mentioned, can be used to place you into a credit-bearing course, which you don't have to pay for, or even a higher level math course, so you can skip the lower level math and go right to a higher one. Make sure that when you fill out your answer booklet, which you will do before the test day, the SAT will ask you to list, I believe it's up to 4 colleges to have your scores sent to. So think of the schools that you may want to attend, and make sure the scores get sent to them now. They'll be there for a couple years until you apply. The other thing is get them to SC4. Make sure St. Clair County Community College is one of the colleges that you list, because that way your scores are there to be used for placement purposes and for prerequisites. Okay. So that was the why care part. Now that we'll get nearer the wrap up, and that's why prepare. Okay, why do you spend time preparing and practicing and so on? Well, it kind of makes sense. Knowing more about the test, knowing what's facing you, is going to result in higher scores. And once you know about the test, just by doing it more, being more familiar with it, that's going to result in higher scores too. Okay. Some students say, I just don't do well on big tests. I have test anxiety. And I would argue that when you practice and learn more about the tests, that's going to reduce the anxiety. If you've done this several times already, it's going to be more familiar, and you're going to be more relaxed when the actual tests come. It's going to build your confidence. Okay. When it comes to practicing, it's easy to want to say, well, I don't have time. I don't have time this week. I don't have time this weekend. Some of you are starting to get jobs now, and the boss might be saying, oh, I need you to work another shift, and then you get tired and so on. If you think about the money that you're making in those extra shifts, which if you had one extra shift and you made $40 each of those shifts, over the next 3 months, that's going to bring you $480 less when they take taxes out, compared to possibly 10 times that in terms of scholarship dollars that you could earn with a good score. So just think about, maybe doing 4 shifts of practice, instead of 4 shifts of work. So find that time to practice and prepare. The Middle College offers prep and practice sessions. They are optional, but I can't recommend them highly enough. Earlier this afternoon, before I recorded this, we had our first session focusing on the reading SAT test. In the future, we'll have a math one focusing on the SAT math test. That's going to be February 8th. And there's one more focusing on the writing SAT test and the essay part of the test. And that's, I'm not sure, I think that's early March, but I have to check. We did give you a handout, and you'll be getting emails, reminders from me about that. We also spend a little time on the Work Keys test, which is that test you'll take the second day. But most of the time is spent on the SAT. You're going to get an overview of the test and sample items, and then even time if you want to access the preparation resources and practice test to see how it all works. You can do that in the Middle College office as part of the session. So I asked students, of course, how many had logged into the College Board site, and the collegeboard.org is the site that administers the SAT and other college tests, related tests. So if you haven't done that, you want to do that. Let me see, the College Board, yes, I mentioned they create the SAT. They've partnered with the Khan Academy for free prep resources. And I really think you should link, your College Board site, if you have it, to your Khan Academy account, and then they'll actually give you personalized practice. I'm not going to play the video within a video right now. I'm not even sure if that would work. But we go over this in a fair amount of detail at the individual prep sessions. And so just this is linking your account really is a good thing. I'm not going to go through all of that. But I'm going to skip this as well. Way more. Okay. The Blue Water College Access Network that's housed at St. Clair County RESA is offering some sessions. You probably won't be able to see this, but on this attached flyer, the first one is Saturday, March 2nd. There's a session on Saturday, March 9th, and one on Saturday, March 16th. These are 5-hour sessions. I believe they have a little time factored in for lunch, but it's $25 per Saturday, but they really focus in on the content area, and you can choose English and writing, math, or reading, kind of like how we divide ours up. But they have teachers running them, and it's a pretty good session. You learn about the test, and then get some samples and some practice done. So go to bwcan.org, and then there's a link for workshops and registration. And if you're going to do that, don't wait too long, because those could fill. So you have a busy, important semester ahead of you. 11th grade is. You've got 4 high school classes, 2 college classes. But as I record this, we're now 3 weeks down, and you've got just 13 weeks to go, and before you know it, the blossoms will be blooming, and the college courses wrap up on May 2nd. So that'll all be done just 2 days into May. And so work hard between now and then, and I do hope to see you at one of our SAT prep sessions. Thank you.